Ryan Ries Show from Southern California. This is The Ryan Ries Show. Post your questions using @Ryan Ries on his Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Are you ready?
All right, this Saturday night, we have our co-host, Mr. Sean McKeehan, in studio. Good to see you, sir.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How you been?
I don't look like I got a tan yet, do I? I tried.
You're red. You got a nice little tan, red tone to you. You know, white boys, they tan real nice and red. Different shades of red up in here. We have a good guest here tonight in the studio that I met probably about a year ago, or maybe less. Speaking up at David Trujillo's church, Calvary Chapel, South LA. You know him. From the radio. He's a pastor here in Los Angeles. And I went outside and we were doing, had my some books, and there was bar tacos, and oh man, it was just epic, as it always is, hanging out up in LA. And this dude comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, what's up, man? I'm Jesse, and I run this this Instagram page called Lexit." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I follow you. I know of you." And we connected, but we didn't really actually get to connect for a while ago. But then he got to come and kick it, hang out with my dad, Ries, at the church, shit with Sean McKeehan, and just tell his testimony. And Sean called me up after, and he was like, "Hey, dude, his story's legit, man." And I'm like, "Hey, let's get him on the show. Let's do this." So here we are. We're doing this now. You're in studio. What's up, man? Thank you for being on the radio with us.
Man, thank you for having me on. It's an honor because, I'm a Calvary boy, so I've been fans and following you guys, even your dad, for forever. So it's a blessing to be on.
That's awesome, man. And, with Calvary, now you're just kind of speaking about Calvary. I was speaking with my mom and dad last night when I got back from L.A., and I was just talking about how it's so awesome, like, to be in line or to be with the Calvary movement, because I just love the theology and the distinctives of just how it is. It's just Bible teaching church, but also they believe in the gifts of the Spirit and the power, and that's what we need in this day as we look at culture. And I'm gonna let you let it rip, this whole hour, but because I know you got a lot of information, but that's how we navigate through culture, and I know that's your main thing, is pointing people. Exposing the darkness through social media and pointing people in the right direction. And I just want to plug that, I know you were on the news last night. You've been surfacing in the mainstream news on a lot of different news channels. You've done some stuff with Charlie Kirk. You've done a lot. You've had an influence. You're having influence. God is using you in this space, in this time. But before we get into what you're doing, I want to hear more or less of just how you even got to this place, because you have a colorful past, from what I hear.
Exactly. I grew up right here near here. I'm from La Puente, California.
Yep.
I grew up. I was an ex-gang member from La Puente. I was from Puente 13, whatever. Mm-hmm. But my story started because I always grew up looking up to the gang lifestyle. Like, I always grew up wanting to be a gang member, because like how other kids would maybe want to grow up and be a movie star or athlete or something like that. I always grew up looking up to gangs and all that. Is because pretty much every single male in my family was a gang member. Like my father, my uncles, my brother, my cousin. So I always grew up looking up to that lifestyle. So I ended up getting into a gang very young, at a very young age. And then my family had a good reputation around La Puente in that area. They were notorious, whatever you want to call it. So they had a lot of good respect and all that. So I tried to earn my own name. And plus, when I got in, I was real young. I was a little kid. And
how old?
Like 14, 15, I was little like that. Yeah. And then, but like Puente, anybody who knows the area, is a big notorious gang. And there's a lot of knuckleheads and at the time. So I was a little old kid, and we had so many good homeboys. I was a little kid. I was trying to earn my own name. So I started doing shootings and just doing a lot of things like that. And I ended up getting incarcerated.
Wait. I'm really interested on this stuff. So to get clout or to get respect within the gang, is you got to go basically do crimes.
Yeah, do shootings mostly.
Shootings. So shootings will elevate your ranking, I guess, in the game.
It's like a stripe.
It's like a stripe,
shooting,
right?
You know what I mean? Yeah, you're in
okay.
stripes.
And then what about like robbery or anything like that?
Nah.
So it's just more
doesn't-
shooting.
Mostly like basically that, or putting in work on our enemies, basically.
On the
you
enemies,
can stab them, or just doing whatever. You know what I mean? Gangbanging against
Just proving.
your
Okay. Yeah. No, this is all like kind of new area for me, and I'm sure a lot of listeners are curious.
Yeah.
Okay. So so you're getting stripes by going out and shooting.
So I ended up I ended up getting arrested. I got arrested for 4 shootings at 16. They arrested me for 4 shootings, and they sent me up to youth authority. And then everybody who knows about the youth authority, especially in those days, it was straight gladiator school. It was like a nightmare in there. So, and it's kind of good that they shutting a lot of them down, because it made me way worse. Like I went in pretty much a normal little kid. By the time I got out of there, I was institutionalized. I was crazy. It made me nuts.
Harder and stuff.
Yeah, when I got out, I was total gangbanging machine, like a maniac when I got out of there, that place. And because I was in for several years, and by the time I got out, so being like that, got out all institutionalized, all crazy, and people on the streets would know, oh, he's a YA boy. Like they know when you get out of youth authority.
Why? Just that look in your face.
Well, they know it's a crazy, notorious gladiator school place.
You have to survive.
So if you get out of there, everybody knows, because people that you see get out of there are all crazy, all nuts, whatever.
Right.
So being like that, I ended up being like the main guy from my neighborhood. I was like calling like shots or whatever for my neighborhood. So I had like the power. I could tell my homeboys, you go do this shooting, go and do whatever. I had respect, everything like that. And my story started. So I was like that. I was a knucklehead. And I started working with some older Christian man, and he was an ex-gang member, and he was a friend of your father too. His name was Rudy Bernal, but he was an ex-gang member from Baldwin Park, from Eastside Baldwin Park, Eastside Bowling. So I'm working. It was a painter, and he was a good Christian dude, and he gave me a chance. He gave me a job and tried to learn me a trade and all that. And he knew I was a knucklehead and all that kind of stuff too, but he was still trying to help me. But anyways, we were working, and as we're working, he's sharing the gospel with me. And my whole life I was a Catholic, but I was a straight gangster or whatever like that. But he started sharing the gospel with me, and I never heard it the way he was saying it, the way he was telling me. He's telling me about Jesus and all that.
But so what'd you hear? Because there's a lot of people that grew up in this Catholic world of religion. So what'd you hear from the Catholic Church? How'd you look at Catholicism versus like what he was telling you? What was the difference?
Well, mostly it's just like rituals and things like that. They just say the prayer, like Hail Mary, and just, you know what I mean? That kind of mostly tradition and rituals and things like that. And he was telling me actual relationship, and Jesus will forgive you, and this and that. And I was like, what? It's that easy? All I have to do is ask Jesus for forgiveness? Like, I'm going to Catholic church my whole life. I never heard of that. All I have to do is ask Jesus for forgiveness. He's like, yeah. And then I was like, listening to him, and I was like, you know what? That sounds cool. Maybe one day, if I ever settle down, if I ever get married or something like that, maybe I'll go to church. Yeah. And that night, I was going to do a shooting. Me and my homeboys, we already had the stolen car, the guns and all that. They were waiting for me to get off of work, and we were going to do another shooting, right? So I didn't tell my boss that. As soon as I get off of work, I'm about to go do another shooting. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to be no hypocrite. I don't want to be no half-stepper. I'm not ready. Maybe one day I'll go to church or something like that. Maybe if I get married or something. Yeah. And I said, I said, maybe. I said, but you know what? I don't even think I could be forgiven. I did too many things. And then he said, no, you never heard the story about like King David in the Bible? And I was like, no. And he was telling me he's a great man of God, and he was sleeping with a soldier's wife. He had a soldier killed. Like, he's telling me about King David. So I'm listening to him, and I'm like, all right, just listen. That's why anybody that's listening to this, don't ever get discouraged when you're sharing the gospel with somebody. Because at the time, they probably would have thought, this little knucklehead gang member, he ain't hearing what I said. Yep. But I heard what he was saying. That's why don't ever get discouraged, thinking that you're not reaching through, because I heard what he was saying. And so I went into a room, and I was by myself in there, and I was painting, because I was a painter. And I thought about everything that he was saying. And at that time, I achieved the greatest that you could have hoped for in that lifestyle. So you would have thought I would have been happy, because I was like the main dude. I was like a ghetto superstar around the hood. All that. I had a bunch of women. I had power, everything. I had respect, like everything that any gang member would wanted to achieve, I achieved, and I still wasn't happy. So I was in a room, and I didn't know how to pray, or I didn't know nothing like that, but I just said, God, helped me to change. And sure enough, as soon as I got off of work, I did the shooting, boom, 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 boom. We got in a high-speed chase, we crashed. And it was a trip because I'm running out, me and my homeboy are running side by side, and the other two are running that way. He tells me, your gun, Rebs. Because I still had my gun on me. And as he tells
cops
me,
are chasing you.
Yeah, and the cops chasing me and him. I'm running side by side. And when he tells me that, he runs a different direction. And wouldn't you know it, the cops chasing me. So I get my gun and I throw it, and there's like a little hill. And as I'm in the air, I throw my gun, boom. And I took like a little tumble, and then and I was on the floor. And I should have just been able to get up and run because I was young, in shape, whatever at the time. I should have just got up and ran like nothing. But when I fell, I couldn't get up, and my legs didn't work, like exactly how they are right now. I'm on the floor, and I'm trying to get up, and like something was like holding me down, or something weird had happened, right? So the cop comes, handcuffs me, and the cop's like, get up. And I'm like, I can't. And he's like, what do you mean you can't get up? I go like, I don't understand what's wrong with me, officer. My legs don't work. And as soon as the cop picked me up, my legs were normal. And I didn't trip too much at what had happened because I'm thinking they just caught me in the act. He got my gun. I'm thinking I'm gonna get life. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wasn't thinking about, hey, that was weird. What the hell just happened to me?
No way.
I was just thinking, damn, I'm through. That's
Yeah,
it for me.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So then, remind me of that story at the end because there's more to that.
Okay.
But because I didn't tell that you the last time I shared it, I missed that
I'm
part.
just listening, man.
Yeah. So.
Amazing.
So I'm in the county, and I got 7 felonies, and I had just did years for shooting and all that. So I'm in the county, I got 7 felonies, and again, I thought about what that man was telling me. So I started praying again, and I don't remember the words I said because I didn't know how to pray. I didn't know nothing like that, but it's true that God knows your heart. And he knew my heart because I prayed and I got saved that night. And I was just asking God, give me one more chance to get out. And I promised I'll never touch a gun again because that was my thing. I loved guns and I loved to do shootings. So I told God, I'll promise I'll never touch a gun again and just give me one more chance to get out and all that. But I don't remember the words, like I said, but like I said, it's true. God knew my heart and I got saved. And it was a trip because I prayed and all that. I got saved and I went to sleep. And when I went to sleep, I had a dream that night. And something came in my dream. It was some kind of like a demon, some kind of entity. I couldn't see his face, but it was just evil. And it was something in my dream. I was scared. But then I said, you know what? I said, Jesus forgave me. And I started saying Jesus to it. And when I said Jesus, it left. And when I woke up, I was a complete different person, but I didn't understand what was going on. Like something dramatically had changed on the inside. I had changed because I remember like this time, it would be like broad 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I used to get evil thoughts in my head. I used to be thinking, I could run up on my enemies like this and I could blast on them like this. I would always only get thoughts like that and used to worry.
I was going to ask you actually, as you're saying this stuff, I had a couple questions. Like, first of all, the first thing is that that was encouraging when you said that don't be discouraged when you share with people because here you are, a hardcore gangbanger, and you may be witnessing to someone and you're like, this guy's not even listening, but they are listening. So continue to step out. But then the next question I had was more or less of the influence. Like, did you feel like the presence, or was it just like more like how did Satan? Because he's clearly you're totally open to him. How was he influencing you? He was giving you was he giving you visuals, like thought process of like how to commit crime? Like that's
wow. I never thought about it till you just said that right now, but maybe he was because I would get those exact thoughts. Like you could catch your enemies, run up and do this to them, and I would always get thoughts like that, and it used to worry me. I used to be like, man, what's wrong with me? How come all I ever think about is hurting people and is doing bad things or making my homeboys do bad things and all that? Like, what's wrong with me? But all those evil thoughts and all that night when I got saved, they were all gone. And like I said, something dramatically changed. And I remember when I used to be in juvenile hall and when I used to be in the youth authority, I used to try to read my Bible, but it used to be boring to me. I didn't understand it. It used to be like nothing. But after that day when I got saved and all that, I started reading my Bible and the Bible came alive to me. And not only did it come alive to me, I was hungry for it. So I'm reading my Bible, I'm learning like that about God. And then the mistake I made was I tried to walk on both sides of the fence. I was trying to kick it with all the fellas, all the Southsiders, Sureños, whatever, in prison. But then reading my Bible and going to Bible studies too. So I was because I didn't want people to think that I picked up the Bible in jail, because I had a lot of respect.
Right.
Even in jail, I had respect. I was a writer for our team. I was a soldier. So I didn't want people, so I was trying to do both. And I was learning, and it was growing, learning about God, doing good. But that was the mistake I made, because so I got blessed. I only got a few years. So I got a few years, sent me up to the pen, and they sent me to a level 3 yard. And anybody that knows about prison, they know in California knows that level 3s and level 4s, that's the big times. You know what I mean? That's where the murderers and that's the big time. So they sent me to a level 3 yard, and the devil was just on me, because the first day there, I get to the yard, they're like, hey, we need you to do things. We need you to rush these foods, this and that. So I started rushing foods, going to the hole, just getting caught up right there on the yard, and started falling away like that. And then, so the day I got out, all my homeboys were at my house. They had me a party. So I was all my homeboys and my family. They had me a party, and I'm right there. And one of my little youngster homies was like, "Hey, we're so glad that you're out. The hood ain't been the same since you've been gone. We want you to run the hood again." And this and that. He starts telling me, and I tell him, "No, you know what? That's it for me."
How old are you at this time?
26.
26.
I think so.
Around there, yeah.
Yeah, 26. And I had wasted all my best years of my life since I was 16 in jail, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, no, that's it for me. You know what I mean? I'm done. And then they were like, what? You're just saying that because you're fresh out. You'll be back around. And then I was like, no, that's it for me. I want to go to church. And when I said that, they got mad. So I started arguing with all of them. So I'm arguing with all my homeboys. I'm arguing with them, arguing, and then even my family. So I'm arguing with my homeboys and my family. And then my own mother. My mother tells me, I'll disown you if you turn Christian, because because my family hated Christians. So my mother tells me she would disown me if I turned Christian, my own mother. Wow. So like I had all of that. I was fresh out, you know what I mean? One sin leads to another. I wanted women, you know what I mean? I was just fresh out after years.
You have so much stuff. Like this is amazing, because I know where it's going right now. So I just want to reset a little bit, like for everyone that's tuning in right now. Obviously, this is Jesse from Lexit, and this story, as Ryan said, like I met with him a little while ago. It's crazy, and like just listening to him talk, it's like imagine getting caught up. Because for me and Ryan, we got caught up in the party life, drugs, alcohol, party. And him, like, in the gangs and that scene and everything. Same age, but roughly 14 years old, you get caught up, do high school, going in and out of prison. But in the midst of it, you have these moments and glimpses of like, dude, I got to change myself. Like, you know what? Getting too gnarly. I think all of us have gone through that stuff. But it's a battle, right? There's a battle of spiritual warfare. You talk about like that demonic influence. I know me and Ryan both had that stuff where you're getting like oppressed in bed, like, because there's this battle for your soul. That's what people don't realize. When we're looking in the world today, there's a battle, right? The enemy wants us to continue being driven by what he desires us to do, but God's grace, he's pursuing us. And now you get out of prison again. You know, you're in your mid-20s now, like you said, 10, 12 years have gone by now, and now your homies, even your family, even if you're saying you want to follow the Lord right now, they're kind of like, nah, I'm not really feeling it. And so it sets up, you're getting a tug of war. You know what you should be doing, but the battle's still there. So keep going.
God's chasing you.
Yeah, so then, so I had all of that. I was fresh out, and so I started falling away again. And then my story started was because I ended up getting into it with some guy, right? So I just went to this guy's house, and I was just going to kick down the guy's front door and go all up inside the guy's house and get him. That's just a little glimpse of the type of person that I used to be, to just go to somebody's house, kick down their front door, and go in their house and get them. So as I'm kicking down the guy's front door, he shot me, boom. He shot me out of his side window. So he shot me, boom, and then I fell on the floor, and he was trying to shoot me some more, boom, boom, boom. And I'm pulling myself with my arms, and he's ripping on me, boom, 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 boom. And so they picked me up, and they took me to the car after, whatever, and then I had no blood, and I didn't feel it or nothing, right? And then, so they're like, what's wrong with you? And I told them, I don't know. I think I'm shot. I can't feel my legs. And they lifted up my shirt, and they told me, yeah, you're shot. And the reason I had no blood or nothing is because the bullet went through my lung, and it went into my spine. So all my blood was going into my lung, and I was choking on my own blood.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so as soon as they told me that, and it was a trip because remember, like I said earlier, I had promised God if he let me get out one more time, I would never touch a gun again. So a few days before that, my little cousin came, he gave me a gun, and I touched the gun. A few days later, I got shot. That's why I don't ever make a promise to God and not keep it, because I made the promise to God and then I touched the gun. A few days later, boom, I got shot and all that. So they had me right. So I'm right there. They told me, yeah, you're shot. And I was like, dang, as soon as they told me that, I got scared. So I tell myself, man, hang on for the ambulance, hang on for the ambulance. So the ambulance comes, the cops in the ambulance, they're all on me. They put an IV in me and they're all talking. And they're like, he's not going to make it. His only chance is to call for the chopper. So they tell me, we're calling the chopper, we're going to airlift you and all that, hang on and all that. So now I tell myself, hang on for the chopper, hang on for the chopper. Finally, the helicopter comes, they put me in it, and we're airlifting, and we're flying. And when I'm in the helicopter, I could feel it. Like, you could feel it when you're dying. Like,
really?
I could feel it. Like, I'm righteously dying, and I'm right there. I'm choking on my own blood, and I'm dying. Like, I could feel like I'm dying. And I got scared. Go out, like scared, like just a weird feeling. And I got scared. Like, the only thing on my mind was, I'm going to go to hell right now, because I was thinking about when I was in jail, reading the Bible and learning everything I was learning about God, and I knew I was just kicking down that guy's door, and I was going to get him and all that. So I was scared. The only thing on my mind, I wasn't thinking about my gang, nothing else. I was only thinking about, I'm going to hell right now.
Yeah.
So I started calling out to Jesus, but I wasn't praying like, Lord, help me to live, because I thought I was going to die at any second. It was only pure repentance. It was only pure, I don't want to go to hell. So I was just calling out to Jesus, Jesus, forgive me. Sorry, and just started calling out to Jesus, and it was a trip because I was all scared and dying and all like that. But once I started calling out to Jesus, it's like hard to describe. I felt like a wonderful peace came over me. I can't even describe it to you in words. I was just so comforted, so at peace. I was just emotionally, physically, I was okay. I was like,
wow,
like something, and it has never happened ever since that day. But it's something like dramatic, like, and I was okay. And then from day one, I always felt that God would save me for a reason. So I was never bitter or, oh, I can't took my legs, or oh, I was never. I was always grateful, because I knew I was supposed to die. Like how you guys were saying, when you're living that lifestyle, you know what's coming. Especially when I was doing a lot of shootings and things like that. You feel that something bad is gonna come. So I always knew I was either gonna end up dead or in jail. So I always knew that was coming. So I always was grateful, and I felt. From day one, I felt God was going to use me. God left me for a reason, and he was going to use me. So then even in the hospital right there, the doctors were like amazed. They were like, we never seen a young guy like you before. Usually when we tell them they're never going to walk again and all that, usually we have to give them antidepressant medicines. But the Lord gave me peace for my situation. So they were like, can you go around the hospital and try to cheer up the other patients? So they had me like on the wing right there with all the paralyzed people. So I was all shot at myself, but I was going around the hospital even then, trying to cheer up all the other patients. And then after that, as soon as I got out of the hospital, I ended up started going into juvenile halls, and I was doing Bible studies with all the little kids.
When you got out of the hospital, so did you get plugged into a church at that time?
I was going to several different churches, trying out a bunch of different ones, and then I went to a Calvary in the High Desert, and I loved it. That's when
High Desert.
Yeah.
Wait, is that like?
Is it Davenport?
Dennis Davenport.
Oh yeah, Dennis Davenport.
So
yeah, he knows your dad well.
And then your dad had a crusade up there. Somebody loved
I remember that
in Victorville.
That was a little bit before my time.
Oh, it's Victorville. High Desert.
Yeah. And I went to that. So then I loved Calvary. Like I said, I tried like about 6 different churches, but then I just fell in love with Calvary. And then, like I said, your dad went up to Victorville, so I went to that.
So when you're going to church, how'd you know? Like, what did God start tugging on you? Was he just kind of tugging on you to go, hey, this is where you're at. You need to go and start going to the juvenile detention centers. You need to go, or how did that even?
Like I said, I felt it from day one. I felt God left me for a reason. He was going to use me, but I felt that he was going to use me for ex-gang members or ex-prison
Right,
people.
which that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so I started reaching out to a lot of my ex-gang member homeboys, sharing the gospel with a lot of them. God was using me like that. And then even when I started going into the juvenile hall, like the little kids in there loved me because I used to tell them, I used to be like you little guys. I was in the youth authority, YA, you know what I mean? I was in prison, I was the main dude, and just wah, wah, wah. So God was using me like that. And then my whole family got saved.
Oh yeah,
they're all serving
How'd that
God.
work? Because that mean they hate Christians.
Yeah, they hate Christians.
So how'd that
They're all
happen with the
saved.
family?
Just sharing with them and sharing the gospel with them. And to even my dad, he was like, I'm gonna read the Bible because I was always sharing the gospel ministry to them. And they know me my whole life as a straight knucklehead and all that. So then they seen me
the transformation.
Sharing, yeah. So then my dad, so he used to argue with me. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna read the Bible just to prove you wrong. And he read it and he got saved. And then my mom, because she was not, like I said, she hated Christians, all of that. But one of my cousins at his church had like a faith healer guy coming to his church. So just out of love for her son, she was like, hey, I want to take you to see if they can heal you or what. And I was already saved and she wasn't. But I was like, oh, okay, I'll go or whatever. So I went. And they were doing like a faith healing to try to heal me or whatever. But they did an altar call, so my mom got saved.
And she got saved.
She got saved. So,
Dude,
but then now my whole family is saved. And they all serving God and all that. So that was a blessing.
That's a miracle, man.
Yeah,
that's
and
a
then
miracle. You got all these hardcore gangsters getting saved, man.
Yeah, even my whole hood. And then everybody knows like it's more impactful if you're from my area.
Yeah.
You know my family and all.
Yeah.
They're all straight knuckle, like my brother, all of them. And you see all of us all serving God now. It's like impactful.
That right there is always
that's
always the proof is when you see someone's life. You know, like a lot of our friends, they see our lives of how we were pirates. You know, we couldn't consume enough drugs, we couldn't sleep with enough girls, we couldn't watch enough porn, we couldn't just the body appetites. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, this transformation process, and you're still who you are. You still got the personality. You know what I mean? You don't lose your. People think, oh, when you become a Christian, you become like some cheesy, corny. No, you still got your personality.
Exactly.
You're just not doing the things that are destroying you.
Exactly.
You know, the stuff that is bringing the anxiety in your life, the stuff that's bringing the depression, the drugs, the alcohol, the sleeping around, shooting people, all the stuff that's actually not good for you.
Yeah.
But then you see the transformation process, and that right there is the testimony. And people watch, as you know, they see you, okay, so they're like, okay, Jesse, he was a gangbanger, he got shot, he's paralyzed from the waist down. Of course he found God. Like, well, we'll see how long this lasts. But then they watch, and they see over the year after year of just being consistent, not perfect, but just consistent, going after God, and that speaks volumes. That backs up the consistency of just walking with God. That backs up everything that you've been sharing from the very beginning, because sometimes it's hard for family members. I mean, I don't know with your family. You said your dad was like, no, man, he's arguing with you. So at first, they're not believing the hype because they go, oh, he just had this crazy encounter. But let's just sit and watch. And people watch and watch and watch. But then after the years, then you've seen your whole neighborhood, your family, your friends, and that's now leaked into the YA and the juvenile detention centers and even now everything that you're doing. So people need to know. People, listeners, you cannot stop. You got to keep pressing on. Don't get discouraged. Even if your family and your friends aren't listening to you now, just keep living it out. And they will listen. They're watching, basically, right? They're watching.
Yes,
and in the Bible it talks about that it's about our actions. It's about our actions, like a fruit tree produces good fruit, and a bad tree produces bad fruit. Now they're seeing this rotten tree, because all this rotten stuff that's coming out of your life. All of a sudden, you get this transformation process, and now you're seeing fruit. From your life. And we as Christians, we talk about this fruit is just like our actions, these good actions. And they're basically fruit of repentance, basically. So you repent of your sins, and then your life changes. And that's only through the work of the Holy Spirit and being plugged in to a good Bible church that's teaching the Bible verse by verse from Genesis to Revelation, so you get the full counsel of God. And that's how, and we're going to get into this next half of what you're doing nowadays, but as the transformation process happens and you read the Bible, that is basically how you get clear direction for life and how to navigate through culture. And we know, I was talking with my dad this morning about the signs of the times. There'll be pestilence, there'll be rumors of wars, famines, and we've seen all this stuff, and we're going to get into this in the next half of what's going on in culture now. and how we can navigate through this. But before we do that, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna plug people to your Instagram, Lexit. It's on Instagram, showing current events, a lot of pretty insane content. I personally follow it, stay up to speed of what's going on. Go to the Whosoever's Instagram, follow us. Go to the Instagram of the Whosoever's YouTube, so you can get all the past radio shows. We've been doing this for like 7 years now.
Yep.
7 years,
A lot of content.
radio shows, back to back. Get on YouTube, watch them live so you can see what's going on in studio. If not, just go to the podcast formats, Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio. They're all there. Plug in, listen, watch, and just get built up in the faith. And book us. We want to come to your city and do the Great Commission, and check out the Kill the Noise book that I wrote about 6 months ago. It's a discipleship book, so you can grow in your faith and live the life that you were created for. We love you. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Peace.
More of The Ryan Ries Show coming up. Post your questions at Ryan Ries on his Instagram, Twitter, and or Facebook.
Going to Montana to Great Falls.
Are you sure?
Yeah. We're going to pick up Sonny. He's the co-founder of the Whosoever's Movement, so this is going to be sick because I haven't been on a Whosoever's tour with them forever.
We can't get into schools. Let's just go to what we know, skate parks and whoever will have us.
This is a tour in the middle of a pandemic, so these are the obstacles that you're going to run into. This is our only last day to get the word out for kids. Because tomorrow, if they don't know it's tomorrow, then they ain't going to be able to make it. We're going to get the flyers out to them today, the event goes down tomorrow.
The whole community of Great Falls, Montana is going to come out. Everywhere we go, people have heard about it. It's been all over the news, and they all said we're rolling out. With the way y'all talk to us today, it seems like y'all really understand what we go through,
Now, back to The Ryan Ries Show.
Yo, we are back with Jesse from the Lexit Movement. I plugged his social media before the break. Go get there, Lexit Movement. It's on social. They'll keep you up to speed what's going on in the world. He's out here from Los Angeles. He's grown up here in La Puente, which isn't too far from here. Gnarly story of gang banging, which is a very relevant thing worldwide. It doesn't matter where you go.
Yep.
But he's from LA, and he was just hardcore, and his family was hardcore gangbangers, and that's what his, a lot of us want to grow up and, be famous in different areas. You can be an attorney or a rock star or movie star or whatever, however you want to have your platform and become famous in these areas. He chose the streets, and he did, and ended up in his last shooting getting hit in the back or in the lung and hitting the spine, and he became paralyzed from the waist down. But he encountered God, and he was running from God during this whole process, and God will never stop chasing you, you know, and I love that about God. And I truly believe that when I look back at my story of my life, there was these moments I had these Holy Spirit encounters where I'd think about something spiritual and I would get teared up, you know, but I just kept running from God, and he'll continually chase you to your grave. And that's pretty much where you were at, actually. You were in your grave. You were being helicoptered out, helied out. Yeah. And you felt like you were dying, and you were just like repenting and going, I'm going to hell. That must have been a crazy moment.
Dude, yeah, like when he told that story.
Thinking about that.
He just like, what you said too, is like, I'm just repenting because like, it's not about like, I'm going to live my life for you because I think my life's done.
Yeah.
You know, that's a trip to think like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's so tripping. What you were just saying right now, Ryan, I kind of thought, we were talking about this on break. It's like, when you look back, then you see those moments where God was pursuing you, but you kind of like try to continue doing your thing. Like, I remember you ran a couple times, even after I came to the Lord, where you got caught up, you were doing some gnarly stuff. Your dad called me and like, dude, Ryan's getting worse. I remember driving out to your house, stayed with you for a couple days, and you kind of went to church for like a little week or whatever, but you went right back on the tour, get caught up, and years go by.
It's like him, he's going back to the street, in and out of jail.
Yeah, you go in and out, and it's like, it's this battle. It's like this tug of war. You know where you should be, but the enemy's strong, like your flesh is weak, and you just get pulled in so many directions. You know, I wanted Jesse to bring up something because I forgot to remind you of something. You brought up something where one time you were getting pursued, and then boom, you thought like you threw your gun down, you're being pursued, you're on the ground, but you couldn't get up. Your legs weren't working, but eventually you got up. And you said, like, remind me about that story later. You just got done telling the story where you actually got shot, helicopter, you found out you'll never walk again. When you reflect back on that moment, what stands out to you?
Yeah, it was a trip how that happened. That it was like if the Lord wanted, because I had got saved that night. Mm-hmm. It was like, and then I ended up, that's what happened to me. I ended up getting paralyzed from the waist down. Like I said, I was trying to get up. It was so weird that my legs didn't work, or it was like if something was holding me down. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe God wanted, I don't know if he wanted to make sure he wanted me, because I got saved that night in the county, to make sure I got busted. You know what I mean? Or what, I don't know what happened, but it was really weird, bro, that something, my legs didn't work. And then I got busted. And then I was in the county. But I'll give you another little story to show you how that God's always with us, and he's always. So one time I'm rolling, me and a carload of my homeboys, right? We're rolling, and I'm sitting shotgun, and we pull up right next to a car like this, right next to him. And the guy don't see us, but we see him. And he was one of our enemies, right? So we pull up next to him, and right next to him like this. And then my homeboys gave me the gun. They gave me the gun. So we pulled up right, and this dude right next to him, and he don't see us. He's right here, and I have the gun right on him like that, and
out the window.
No, yeah, like I'm gonna shoot the dude, and he doesn't even see me. And then all my homeboys are telling me shoot, and they never in their lives ever had to tell me to shoot, because I was always, that's how I was. I was and they're telling me shoot, and then I'm like, and then something, I don't shoot, right? And then the guy just drives away. So then I'm like, whoa, what the heck? Whoa, something weird just happened. And I'm not saved. I don't know nothing about God, nothing at that time. So I'm just like, whoa. And then we're driving, and then my homies were like, hey, what the heck? And I'm like, oh, I don't understand what happened. But to myself, I'm like, that was really weird. What the hell just happened to me? So then years later, after I'm saved and all that, me and a lot of my ex-gang member homeboys that are all saved now, we're walking through my old neighborhood, evangelizing, sharing the gospel with people. So me and my homeboys were walking, sharing the gospel, and I tell that story to one of my the homeboys. Yeah. I was like, hey, we caught this dude one time, and something was weird as heck. I didn't get the dude. And then he looked at me with like a weird look on his face, and I'm like, why? What's up? And he goes, man, trip out. Me and the homeboys, we caught that same dude. Same situation, similar situation. Something weird happened, and we didn't get the dude. It was like so weird.
The same guy.
Same exact guy. And trip out. That guy ended up being a pastor.
No.
So imagine, he didn't even know how close to death he was twice, and God was protecting. See, so imagine you don't even know what you're doing. You could be driving or whatever you're doing, and you don't even know what God's protecting you, saving you, or you don't even know what God's doing behind the scenes. And like he knew that, see, so God, he knows the beginning and the end. So he knew that guy was going to end up being a pastor. So God was protecting that dude.
What the heck? That is insane. That is so gnarly.
That's crazy. You know, when you think about this, dude.
Imagine he was protecting you guys.
I know.
That's what's a trip too. Like, and so you
amazing.
talk about like God pursues you, gets a hold of your life, and like we limit God a little bit. You know, we're just like, I'm just gonna get sober. You know, I'm gonna get sober. I'm gonna go back and do my thing. For my thing too, like I'm gonna start going to jail. Got arrested twice. You know, a couple DUIs. Like, I don't want to be like going in and out of jail. I just want to get sober. Like that's my goal at the time.
Yeah.
Your thing too is like, I'm gonna stop running with gangs. But then, like when you stay close to God, then He starts opening up more stuff. You start getting a vision for your life. Like Ryan wouldn't want to speak, and then eventually, boom, he's speaking. His life's being used. Same
I
thing
ran
with
off a
me.
stage one time.
Yeah.
My first opportunity to speak, just to talk about our Israel trip. They're like, hey, come up and just talk about the Israel trip. I was up there, and I was like shaking, and they're like, come up, and I ran off the stage, out the door in my car.
That's what people don't understand. Like they see like what Ryan does or what I do or what you do, and you're like, oh, but like back in the day, like you had no vision to do any of these things. It's just like God opens up these doors.
This guy on TV and
I
doing
know,
this,
that's what I'm saying.
never in a million years would you ever think to do that. And I love, and this is a good transition going into talking about about what's going on now, but my mind, I'm seriously like just blown away how God does protect this guy is a gangbanger at this time. And God's like, I know the plans that I have for you, and they're to prosper you, and they're to prosper you in the. His call was to prosper in the gospel, to go out and reach whoever he's going to reach, and God was protecting him because he knew the plans, and that is just insane. This is why there's so many people that are still on planet Earth, and they're like, why am I still alive? People might be asking that question right now. Why am I still alive? I should have been dead 100 times, whether in gangs, drug overdose, or whatever. But God's like, because I got a plan for you. And the thing I want to say before, earlier in the beginning of the last half, is that, you know, you kept committing to God, like you were going after him in jail, you were reading, you were praying, you're like, God, I'll never touch a gun again. And that's a good illustration of just showing how God, you could have saved so much hardship in your life if you just would have given your life to Christ the first time. But we're all guilty. We're all guilty of what you have done. And we all, maybe I'm not paralyzed, but I went through several abortions and lost 3 kids to abortions and death and many other things that I've done to damage my life that I'm still reaping to you know, what I've sown, all the girls I've slept with and all the pornography, I'm still reaping to this influence of stuff from my past. So whoever you are listening now, it's like, just commit your life to God now, at the beginning, the first time, if you can. You know, you can, but you have, you know, it's just free will comes into play. And save yourself from the drama, because the more you keep going back, the gnarlier you're going to get every time you backslide and go back. But let's talk about now, where you're at. God's using you. What's your goal? Like, how is God using you right now in this time?
So God was using at the beginning for like many years. He was just, and I ended up being a chaplain. So I was going to the hospital, praying with all the patients. So I was just focused on the gospel, like, because I knew God left me. So I was just being, because I used to be a soldier for the devil. Now I'm a soldier for the Lord. Exactly. Even when I gangbanged, I was 100% like that. So that's how I am for the Lord now, 100%. And now for the country, you know, for my country too. I love America too. So now I'm like that. But I was just focused on the gospel and all of that. But that's when I feel that God put it on my heart or whatever to get into politics or whatever because I just seen, because I grew up on the left side, you know what I mean? And I just, but as I was growing in my faith, that kind of went into what I'm doing now, the politics and all that, because as I was growing in a Christian, as I was growing in my faith and all of that, I just seen that I could no longer go with the left.
Align with your lifestyle.
With that lifestyle. As a Christian, I was like, as a Christian, I could no longer. So that's what made me start getting into politics, was because of my faith, because I seen I'm against killing babies, you know what I mean? And then that's when they're trying to put the men and women's restrooms and all that stuff, and just all the attacks on Christianity and all that. So I was like, as a Christian, you know what I mean? I had to get involved. And then I seen just the fake media, how they're just propaganda just all the time. So then that's what made me get it, because I was like, they were trying to make like that all Latinos are for the left side and all that. And I was like, we're conservative, you know, your church is full of Latinos.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
know,
you're Latino,
I know.
you know what I mean? And we're conservative. So I'm like, well, I don't know what CNN and them are talking about. So then me and a lot of Latinos that I talk about are like, well, no, we need to start something for Latinos. And then, because I seen Candace Owens came out with Lexit. So I was like, we need something. Most of the Latinos I know are conservative. So then I was like, we need to start one for Latinos. And then, so we started it up.
You know what I love about, you know, what you guys are doing is, you know, you're pushing people all through a biblical lens. You know what I mean? Because us as Christians and pastors and teachers and especially like evangelists, like I do evangelism, like everyone I speak to is like on the left. Like that's my audience, is like the gay community, the LGBT, the transgender, you know, the ones that want to do abortions, you know, the Satanists. Like that's my community that I'm trying to reach. But it's awesome because, you know, us as Christians, you know, the biblical lens on politics it's the Bible. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just biblical. Like, you know, we shouldn't be going after to try to what's that called, where you're going after children? Grooming, sexual grooming. You know, as parents, we're supposed to be looking out for that. We're not supposed to. We want to protect a life. You know, we know that life is conceived in the womb. You know, we don't. You know, once life is given when God has created the heartbeat. Life is given in the womb, so we want to protect life and morals, and we don't want, when you start looking at everything that this culture, when we say the left is to be, the left is just a culture.
Exactly.
It's literally the
true.
culture. It's Hollywood. It's the news media. It's social media. It's the music industry. I mean, I could tell you stories of in management companies where they're laying the artists down and they're putting stones all over them. They're doing witchcraft rituals over them in Madonna's record, or it was a record company called Maverick, but it's inside of her studio. Like all that stuff that you see on YouTube and all that, like that stuff's real. I know several artists that have had witchcraft done over them and then they got record deals.
Yeah.
So it's that the leftists or the culture at large, everything that they're pushing is they're trying to go against everything that we know as Christians and biblical. It's literally the Antichrist. Again, I was talking to my dad this morning, and he was talking about, it's like, yeah, you think the Antichrist is alive? I'm like, heck yeah, he's alive. No one's going to know the Antichrist, but dude, he has to be alive because this whole movement, it's the Antichrist movement. It's literally, they're anti everything that has to do with Christians and Christ, biblical stuff.
No, and this is something that we talked about at Golden Springs, like with your dad too. Like we always had that balance, because we understand like different sides. And we talked about this before, Jesse. It's not so much of being in politics. It's standing for truth. It's standing for truth, and for what we wanted the congregation to know is like when you vote through a biblical lens.
Yep.
Like what does that party say about marriage? The Bible says marriage is between a man and a woman. Same thing with abortion. Like God is the one that gives life. We're not the ones that we should not take life. And there are various other areas, and just see what side kind of aligns better with the way that is better for your family. And a lot of times it's just the basis of that. Then what we've seen, and I follow your stuff too, now we're in crazy town, like in the world, right? These last few months, I mean, I know you guys have posted, I've seen on many other platforms where it's like, could you think like when we were kids, like taking kids to like drag queen shows? Like when you see that kind of stuff, Jesse, like because there's damage that's being done to young people's lives. This has something to do with right, left, like it's just like, what are you even talking about? Why is things getting so bad?
It's just because it's the last days, you know what I mean? But see, that's what I'm saying. That's what we need to focus on. Because see, I always say I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a Biblican. I vote the Bible, and that's what we push at Lexit. Is we push Latinos to, because I'm a conservative. We're conservatives. Vote the Bible. Vote your godly moral values. We don't say vote this party or whatever. We just say vote the Bible. Focus on the Bible. You know what I mean? Because that's why. Because see, they try to, the fake media and all them. They want to be like, look, racism or whatever else nonsense. But yes, they're pushing that to your kids in schools and CRT and they're just all this whatever. No, focus on that. That's why the country's going to hell in a handbasket, is because all the morality. Our morality is bad, and look what happens. That's what happens when you take God out of everything. You take prayer out of school. You're making God everything. Imagine, you can't even talk Jesus or whatever at the schools, but they're having these drag shows and all that at our schools. Like,
well,
it's
did you know that
ridiculous.
the Church of Satan actually, they have Bible clubs now? They have Church of Satan Bible clubs. They're allowing everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy. But again, going back to even like with like racism and all this different stuff, like the Bible, Jesus is the perfect example of like, remember when he went to go see the Samaritan woman? Well, they were like, I always relate like the Samaritans and the Jews, like the Crips and the Bloods, like they're like different neighborhoods, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because they didn't like each other, right? And here Jesus he actually went, like, I think it was like 250 miles out of his way on the way to Jerusalem, away to Samaria for this divine appointment for this girl to meet this girl, like two people that don't even like each other talking to each other. And he sits there and he has her fetch water and they're interacting, and it's this whole thing. I mean, the Bible's anti-racism. It all goes back to biblical. It all goes back to the biblical belief system that we need to be doers of the word of God and not hearers. But a lot, Jesse, frankly, a lot of people just don't even read the Bible. And that's also the problem is that, there's a lot of, I don't know if you've come across a lot of Christians, but a lot of Christians that claim Christianity are pro-abortion. Yeah. And you're like, what the heck?
You know what I tripped on was when Greg Laurie posted something about he was happy that, and if you read on the comments, that's what I made a video. I don't know if you've seen it.
I didn't see. What did he post?
He posted like to praise God that it got overturned, abortion or whatever.
Yeah.
But in his comments, so I did a video on Lexit page about that because I was like, it's kind of just discouraging. You know what I mean? You see so many Christians on there attacking him.
They were attacking him for posting
Greg
that?
Laurie, in his comments saying things, and they're supposed to be like what? Yeah. How could you possibly be a Christian? I mean, what Bible are you reading or what? You know what I mean?
They're not reading the Bible. And this is why is constantly why we always, even on the show and even with, because my dad, he's a Marine, Purple Hearts, martial artist. He's a warrior, you know what I mean, and a pastor, teacher, and he loves the country. And he's always pointing people from here, like, hey, go to the Word, read your Bible. What does the Bible say? Not like what culture says, because we already know what the culture is pushing. There's an agenda. It's the Antichrist agenda. So we have to be men and women of the Word of God to continue.
You brought up the Church of Satan, and you saw it circulating too, where it's like, I don't know, it's just like so plain and simple, but if the Church of Satan is like praising pro-choice, like for abortion, like you're on the wrong side. Like just so you know, because they were actually being like representatives to it.
Now they are.
And I'm not even saying like there's young girls that, they get in a place and they make a bad decision, they don't know and stuff like that, and it's tough for them. But on the side, it's not even on that level of talking. It is on celebrating abortion to the extreme. And that's where it's like, whoa, like from a Christian, you got to be able to be like, dude, like this is demonic. And that's what really, you should be able to see what's going on in the culture, have your pulse on it a little bit and be like, wow, that's crazy.
But people are becoming numb to it. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you guys posted this on your page, but someone posted it and there was a girl, it was like a pro-life rally. And this young girl, she's a brunette, black shirt and shorts, and she tries grabbing the mic, and she's like, "We love killing babies." Yeah. And she's like 20. Have you seen that one? She's like 25 years old. You guys posted it, and she's literally screaming, trying to grab the mic from the pro-lifer. "We love killing babies," and she's just like think about the insanity.
Yeah.
Of what's
like he said, as a Christian, look at that. Look at them. Those people out there, like you said, Satanists. They're out there, communists, right? They're atheists. All them. But on this side, you see pastors, righteous, good Christians, priests. You know what I mean? Maybe you're on the wrong side. If you find yourself in agreement with Satanists and all these evil people against godly in the church and all that, maybe you should reconsider what you're doing.
Well, what did Jesus say? Go ahead, Sean. I'm going to add something.
No, I just think it's like with all these things. That's how I view it, because I have young kids, right? And you got young kids. We're thinking about the future. We know where we stand, like in our thoughts and our principles. But when you're coming for the children and we have to stand for these truths. This is the problem, because of years past in the last 10, 20, 30 years, people didn't stand for truth on these platforms. And therefore, they got overrun. And they have so much power in so many of these things because people went to sleep. Christians just like checked out. That doesn't really apply to my faith or whatever. Like you need to vote righteously. You need to stand for truth. You need to be involved in your kids' school, what they're being taught, because there's a lot of wacky people out there, and there's a lot of great teachers out there as well. But there are things that can be very destructive for your children. This isn't the time to just go to sleep. You got to stand for truth.
But like he said, see, that's the big problem. See, these people, they're listening to what Cardi B or Hollywood or whatever, what they say. You should be listening to what your pastor says. You should be listening to what your dad says. You know what I mean? Like, listen to what your pastor, listen to what the Word of God says, not because of Hollywood or Cardi B says you're supposed to be supporting that or whatever. Focus on what is the Word of God. That's what that's what we do at Lexit. because see, we're not a religious organization, but we put God first above all things. And I feel that's why God has blessed me in everything, is because at Lexit, we represent, like we say, you don't have to be Christian to be with Lexit, but we are. And we're not going to be ashamed of the gospel. We say it boldly, unapologetically. We don't compromise. We will not go against the word of God. I don't even care if whoever calls me for whatever, I'm going to say, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to obey the word of God, and that's it. That's what we do at Lexit, and that's what there's a lot of like-minded Latinos, and then we're showing them, because like you said, they've been even using immigration for so very long to manipulate Latinos, the immigration issue, right? And they think that's all we care about. Like, but I said, we're pro-life, you know what I mean? We're pro-Second Amendment. We're pro all these things. And that's why most Latinos are conservative. They don't know it. So we just go down the line and show them, hey, you're pro-life, right? You're pro-lower taxes. You know what I mean? You don't want them teaching your kids this in school, CRT. Just go down the whole list. And most Latinos, they see when you, I'm conservative. So why are you voting a certain way? You know what I mean? Vote the Bible. Listen to what your pastor and them says, not what some celebrities in Hollywood are saying. Listen to what God says.
They're all, exactly. You can't really follow the celebrities. You know, we've talked about this before. You got people screaming whatever they want from the stage, but then backstage they're taking antidepressants and they got their shrinks and they're getting divorced. I mean, go look at the biggest celebrities without me dropping names right now. Go look at this. I mean, you're gonna follow people that are, you know, swinging by the seat of their pants, like.
A lot of them are pedophiles and all that too. You're gonna listen to what they're saying.
There's a lot of, I watch the news, a lot of stuff going on. Well, we're gonna wrap up the show. We got a minute left, man. Hey, dude, thank you for being on. It was awesome, man. It took about a year, but that's cool. You know, it happens though, because we're always, you like us, we're always connecting, popping around different people. But you know, it's all about God's timing. That's the best time to connect. So, love you, man. Please go to the Whosoever's, what do you call it, the YouTube. I'm losing my voice here.
The Ryan Ries YouTube.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
The Ryan Ries YouTube, that's where you're going to find all the shows. The Whosoever's YouTube, follow that as well. That's where they drop a bunch of stuff they've been doing out in the culture, different tours, movies they've done. Follow both and subscribe to both.
Get there. That's why I have Sean here, okay?
I'm the safety net.
Exactly. All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for being on the show. Check out his IG, connect. And, dude, pray for the world. Pray for the world. Pray for United States, that there will be a revival. Amen. One last revival before the King comes. We love you guys. Peace.
This has been The Ryan Ries Show. To connect and find out more about Ryan, click on ryan-reese.com. Check us out next Saturday at 9 p.m. for The Ryan Ries Show.